In February of 1942, the Japanese performed a daring operation on one of the British-held settlements in Southeast Asia. Now back then, it wasn't as prosperous as it is today, but it was known as Singapore. Now, the Battle of Singapore, or the Fall of Singapore, began on the 7th or 8th of February. Sources are a little bit wary on that. And it saw 55,000 Japanese troops, well, 55 strong in total, about 50,000 Japanese troops, assault about an 85,000 strong British force in Singapore. Now, the Japs done this with guerrilla warfare and a surprise attack. The British were completely unaware of it. Well, they were unaware that the Japs were going to do it, and they were scared when it happened. So, the Japs invaded Singapore and took it from the Brits. Now, the Brits did outnumber the Japs, but they still took more prisoners of war. The Japs took roughly 50,000 British soldiers prisoners of war and killed roughly 7,500, whereas the Japs lost a little more or less than 1,000 soldiers. So, the fall of Singapore, well, Singapore itself was known as the Gibraltar of the East. If you don't know where Gibraltar is, just go look at any map. And this started off the Malayan campaign. Now, I will do an overview of the Malayan campaign, but I just want to get it started off with the fall of Singapore. Now, I did think about doing the Battle of Bataan, but it wasn't really anything major, it was just another battle. But Singapore was a vital asset to the Allies. It was a vital trade route and it was a vital military point. So for the Japanese to take it, they now held that military checkpoint. And considering it fell in under a week, well, either a week or 8 days, depending on who you ask. But this kicked off another front. The British were now fighting the Japs in Burma and now along the lines of Singapore and Indonesia, only for the Americans to come in later on in the year. So, the Battle of Singapore opened up another front. This front would last a while, but with the Japs attacking Pearl Harbor, which I'd done last week, link in the description, it sort of set the motion. Because if the Japs didn't attack Pearl Harbor, but attacked Singapore instead, then we would have taken much more casualties, us Brits. And the Japs could have overrun us, kicked us out of Southeast Asia, and ended the British Empire. So, that is a quick little rundown on the Battle of Singapore. I'm not too savvy on it. I have literally just read about it. It is about, what, 8 o'clock in the morning? Got up at 7, so I've just read about this and I thought it'd be an interesting video. Let me know what you think about the Battle of Singapore. If you're living in Singapore, tell me what it's like, because I've never been to Singapore. And stay tuned next Sunday for probably one of the decisive battles of the Pacific Theatre.